Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Butterfly Effect. I'm Dela.
I'm Paula.
And I'm Colleen.
Welcome to all our viewers who are here to watch us live, and whomever is going to watch this show later. We want to welcome you, and we want to please ask you to press that share button so that other people could also benefit with this amazing information that's going to be offered here today. And also, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. So, ladies, welcome. This is our 5th episode.
Wow. Time flies.
Time flies. I tell you, we have certainly made good use of COVID. I tell you, the three of us.
This is my favorite time. We get together once a month. And
yes, it is certainly one of my favorite nights of the month. I tell you, I'm so excited to be here with you because you bring so much energy. But the two of you here, you bring so much knowledge and so much information. So I want to thank you, and I want to acknowledge both of you. So
thank you too, Dela. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you, Colleen. What are you?
Okay. We have a show to do tonight, and the topic is so cool because I know that a lot of people are going to be listening, and there are a lot of people are going to be able to resonate with this. Valiant or victim? Cool. All right. I love it too. So to our viewers who are watching this, please let us know who you are, where you're watching from, what is your take on our topic, and what is your understanding as we, dive deep into the evening. Okay, people. First of all, we're going to start with you, Colleen. What is the definition of victim as you found it in the dictionary?
Okay, so when I looked it up, victim says a person harmed, injured, or killed as a result of a crime, accident, or other event or action. So it's very vague, but it's basically somebody who's been harmed or injured. The killed ones is the not the one we're talking about today, but so yeah. So
okay. All right. So I'm going to ask each of you for your definition of victim. So we'll start with you, Paula.
Ooh, I'm on the spot.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay, well, to me, victim is the feeling that no matter what I do, others treat me badly. And as a result, I end up feeling not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not enough. Now, this is the feeling I got and I felt for most of my life, actually. Because I end up blaming people, circumstances, undesirable results on anyone and anything outside and aside from myself. I have learned, though, however, that this is not totally true because I do have a choice. And also, I'm responsible for that choice. Even in situations when others have mistreated me, abused me, or bullied me, which has happened, sadly, even among my own family and trusted so-called friends, though at time, I wasn't aware at the time that I had no fault at all for their behavior. And I had every reason and right to feel so bad about it, perhaps even to blame them for their behavior. Still had a choice on how to respond to how I was treated. But back then, I fell into this victim poor me state of mind, blaming myself at first. And then later, I tune into blaming everyone else. Because you see, I wasn't taught how to be responsible for my own actions, thinking, or feelings. Because of my victimized way of thinking, I kept myself in the vicious cycle of negative circumstances, proving myself right again and again. So as I embarked on my healing journey, I realized that many things in my life have happened because of my own choices.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, misfortune does and can happen to anyone, but it doesn't have anything to do with personal values. and nothing to do with deserving it or not, you know? Now, why I'm saying this is because in the event that one gets abused, for example, physically or sexually assaulted, they have nothing to blame themselves for, yet they do. And it's absolutely normal to feel completely out of control in those situations, because in that instance, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Any thought that is somehow your fault and is not right to feel nor to think, you know, that's where you see a difference between someone who needs help or someone who is able to bounce back on their own. So my observation, and what I've learned is that a victim mentality sits at the base of 3 key beliefs. For me was that, first, bad things are happening to me and will continue to happen no matter what I do. Second, it's not my fault. It's the other people, it's the circumstances. And the third, there is no point in trying anything because it doesn't matter what I do. It will turn into a bad thing anyway. So that is actually devaluing yourself and dismissing the fact that you have a choice, the choice to say enough with this or to say I'm enough. And my values aren't dependent on how others treat me, rather how I treat myself and how I treat others.
That's awesome. So we're going to come back to that because we want to hear the definition from Colleen too on victim, but we do have a definition from someone who's watching. Do you want to see? Okay. A victim is a person who has been hurt or taken advantage of, which most of us try to avoid. Some people hit others over the head with words, although some seem to like being victimized.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I agree and I disagree.
So, Colleen, let's go to you and see what is your definition. You gave us the definition from the dictionary. So, what does it mean to you to be a victim or being in the victimhood mentality?
Yeah. So before I do that, I would like to address that statement because I just said I agree and I disagree, and I don't want our viewer to think that I disagree with them. What I disagree with is that I think it's unlikely that people like being a victim, but I do think that they sometimes choose it because it benefits them in some way. So, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about that later. So, so victim, what does a victim mean to me? So to me, it means it's somebody who's living in the past. It's somebody who is, you know, you mentioned it, I think, Paula, how they're the woe is me. Everything is outside. Everything that's wrong in their life is outside of themselves. I made a post this past week on my page about nobody makes you feel, do, anything. You always have a choice. And somebody who is a victim is always going to give up that power. So okay. That's what it means to me. They're living in the past and then they're relinquishing their responsibility.
Thank you. And I do want to say this, and right here before we go too far into the show, that our intention for having this discussion today is to bring awareness to someone who's probably living in a victimhood mentality, victimhood mindset, but doesn't realize it. And or someone who knows someone who is living in a victimhood mentality and doesn't know it, and how to not really help. I don't want to say help because we're not psychologists, right? We are going to give our stories, our experiences, and the tools we have used personally, but really to be helpful to a friend, how to talk to them properly, how to help them in the right way. So that's our intention from this show. It's always good to have an intention every time we do a show. And so I do want to take a moment to say hello to everybody who's joined us tonight for this amazing show. The audience probably doesn't know, we do put a lot of effort into making these shows. We really think hard on what the topic should be. Is it something that is going to be helpful to a lot of people? So we appreciate the company as you stay with us through the show. We certainly appreciate your comments, the questions. So please don't leave us alone. Keep putting those comments in the chat box, and we will certainly make sure to read them. So with that, all right. So I want to keep going if that's okay.
I just had one thing to add to the intention.
Sure, go ahead.
When we were talking about our intention for it, Dela, you made the comment that it's not just to help people, but to how to be compassionate and understand them.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear you say it just then. I might have missed it. But
yeah, you're right. Thank you for reminding me.
But yeah, and I thought that was a really good intention, because we can't always necessarily help somebody, but sometimes it helps just to understand where they're coming from.
Yes, absolutely. You're so right. Thank you very much. Okay, so next question I have for you is, why would we feel like we have a reason? What are some reasons we give to ourselves to live in a victimhood mentality? Is the question clear?
I think it is.
Thank you. Paula, we'll go to Paula, but before you, look at this. You guys are going to like this one. Austin Haynes says, so valuable. And look at what else he says. Your preparation shows.
Thank you, Austin.
I'm sure he's not just talking about the makeup. This doesn't happen on its own.
We wake up like this.
We don't just wake up like this. Okay, so Paula, what are some reasons we give ourselves to live in a victimhood mentality, to live as a victim?
I honestly believe that our story has its beginning in some kind of a past trauma. Colleen touched upon that, living in the past. So most often, this comes from childhood, but not only. I believe this mindset develops as a result of true victimization. It might be caused by trying to cope with abuse and trauma or neglect as a child, for example. Now, with this in mind, it is true perhaps that those trapped in victim states often express a lot of negativity, and others are prone to ignore or simply aren't aware of the fact that all this happens because they are experiencing significant pain and distress. Pain, not detained, okay? Pain, I meant pain.
Yes.
That is what makes us or makes them stuck in this mindset. I don't believe one stays there by choice if they knew they had one. You know? So to kind of summarize it, what I mean is like really one ends up feeling or finding himself or herself in a victim state due to one possible trauma, abuse from the past. It could be caused by betrayal too, especially repeated betrayals. Let's say as a child, if your primary caregiver or caretaker rarely follow through with the promises or commitments, as you grow up not trusting people, for example. And another one is codependency in relationships. Enjoying blaming others for their problems. And in children, we see a lot of manipulation happening, the ones that are being neglected, because they will do anything to even get in trouble just to get some attention. Mm-hmm. And that's born, So on another note, it is perfectly normal to feel sorry for yourself once in a while, or feel powerless, or in some circumstances, as like for example, when in divorce circumstances, or a death of a family member or a friend,
Yeah.
So Paula, you said something, and we have a smart viewer who also said drawing attention, and you mentioned that, and you mentioned that for kids, but I think a lot of times as adults, do we hear misery likes company? I feel like we have lived in those moments when we want that compassion towards us, so we want to be playing the victim and having that attention. So thank you so much. Yeah, that was awesome. And Lisa Anna, hi, and she says very good points. Sure we get everybody. We have Tony Walsh. Good night, God bless, sweet dreams, stay safe. He's always watching the lives, and he's a very committed viewer. Thank you so much. Okay, all right. So Paula,
Yes.
yes. So great. Thank you so much for those for those insights.
One thing, because you just made me think of something else quickly when you said misery likes company. Now, since victim mindset, actually, it's something we learn, but it's something we can also unlearn. You know, we're not talking yet about, I don't know, we're not talking yet about
tools
and strategies. Yeah.
Why can I mention here why it serves us or serves those who?
Yes. Why don't you say that? Yes. Why don't you mention?
Because it's just when you said misery likes company, just that came into my mind. So it brought it into my conscious mind, the fact that it serves us because we become comfortable in the known factor, if you know what I mean. So it's easier to manage because it's a feeling or it's an experience that especially if acquired from childhood, you feel at home by doing that, by feeling like that. So at its core though, I believe with the victim mindset, it's able to put aside most of, if not all of his or her responsibilities for themselves, but also for their life. Because they believe they have no power. Therefore, they don't have, they feel they don't have to do anything. So with that, as I mentioned even earlier, they blame others. So they complain a lot. So those who are listening to them, they feel sorry for them and they will give attention, which they are actually seeking. It's true, it's not only children. So when others feel sorry for them, they won't criticize or upset them as much, right? So they will offer their help instead. So they continue to tell us their stories. They seem so captivating and so interesting. Now, by telling us those stories, they themselves feel sad, maybe even upset. But they are able to avoid one thing, being angry, which serves them because anger pulls people away, and they are attention seekers. So they benefit staying in their victim state because they get the attention they need, the attention that they seek. They feel valued when others help them, and they feel empowered, where the truth is inside themselves, they feel like they have no power. Mm-hmm. So when they realize that by staying in this state, people feel sorry and help them, they learn to use this victim state to manipulate others, to get what they want, to have all those needs met.
Okay. Thank you. And you did say something, and I want to make sure that we reiterate that sometimes we are in that victimhood without really thinking about it. It is because it's familiar to us and we don't know anything else.
Yes.
Like we're comfortable in that space. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Austin Haynes says, wow, spot on, great insight. Thank you, Austin. So, okay, Colleen, what's your take on this question then?
So thank you. So a couple of things. So the first thing is that when you are in a victim state, like I'm going to reiterate in a different way some of the stuff that Paula just stated. So you are relinquishing responsibility from whatever's going on, right? So it serves you because then you can put the blame on everyone everywhere else and not on yourself. So it makes you powerless. So say, well, I can't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. It's, you know what I mean? It's not me, it's them.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I don't have control over it.
Yeah.
The other thing is it serves you. And Paula, you touched on this as well. You said and I look at it as, imagine when you were a 2-year-old child and you cried and then somebody gave you a hug, right? Or somebody gave you whatever you were crying about or whatever. So you learn at a young age that when you are vulnerable and in a victim state, that people will have compassion and for you. So, so without intending to, sometimes if we don't learn other ways to get attention, is that we take that into adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's where the victim state comes from, is that we've learned it. It's an old program in us that being a victim gets us results, some result that we're looking for. And it's usually, Paula, you were right on, the attention, the, the compassion, all of those things that you get. People like you more because they feel like they can be of service to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. I have been there, and I know many people who have been there or who are still there. If you're watching this show and you or yourself or someone you know has ever lived in that state, please let us know. Just say yes, so that we know you're with us. We like seeing those yeses.
Yeah, we do
we like seeing the chat box light up, right? Because it feels so good. It just brings so much love to my heart. Thank you so much. So go ahead and let us know. Yes, they're coming in. Yes. Good stuff. People are paying attention, which is amazing. I'll say hi to some people.
Yes, please.
Yes, Sabrina, Farida, the other Frida, Robert. We have Austin, Lisa Anna Palmer, Tony. We have Mary. Thank you so much. Yes, too many to mention. Austin says, yes, too many to mention, because we know a lot of people who have been in a victimhood mindset. So, okay, let's see, what are some signs? Okay, what are some signs that we can pinpoint to realize that either ourselves or someone we know is in that victimhood mentality? Let's see, what signs are we looking for? And if you're watching this and you can think of some signs, please put them down in the chat box. Let us know what they would be. This is a learning experience for all of us. We want to know better so that we could do better. So if you could give us 2 or 3 signs, what would they be? Colleen, we'll start with you.
So we've already mentioned some of them, right? The person who is always saying, oh, my life sucks because, and it's always outside of them. Like my boss is, gives me a hard time. It's always outside of them, right? So that's a sign. Somebody who, now I'm an emotional person, but I'm starting to realize that, yes, I'm an emotional person and I cry. But if I think about some situations unconsciously, never on purpose, but I think that maybe the crying helped me feel more likable to some degree. Do you know what I mean? Like, to have sympathy. So I think that the crying can be a possible one. And I think also one of the other things is someone who is very judgmental or critical of others could be in that victim state because, everybody else is better, or thinks they're better, or, you know what I mean? Like there's that underlying anger and happening there. So those are the 3 that I would share.
I love that last one. So maybe we can dig deeper a little bit into that, because I would not have associated being critical of others with victimhood mentality. What do you think, Paula? Can you maybe dig a little deeper in that?
Absolutely. It's that feeling, like I said earlier, no matter what, nothing makes a difference. Therefore, I won't even try. But they take that in their hand because they are lacking responsibility. They are not being accountable. So they blaming everything and everyone on everything that happens. It's just easier that way. And then they look for an answer, right? So they complain a lot, they blame a lot, almost always blame others.
Yes.
It's up to them, no matter what, they default somehow they switch the conversation towards something someone did or something someone said, or this happened and because of it I end up here, or like this, or you know what I mean?
Yes, yes,
I think
yes,
those are the signs that are like right away, you become aware, like, wow, because it's a pattern. It's a pattern that you see. Perhaps if you first talk to someone, you may not notice that, but if you second time you meet and you talk and the same thing happens, you're noticing this pattern: complaining, blaming,
yes,
not taking
That is so true.
yes,
not even being responsible for his own or her own feelings.
yes.
Always, as Colleen said, always outside of me. Something happens there, and therefore I feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's comments from the viewers blaming luck, right?
Very true, Farida. Yeah.
Oh, it's my luck, right? Someone else says complaining constantly, right?
Absolutely.
So Mary says, "Oh God, resonates with me about judgmental folks," right? Exactly. Marina says, "Accountability is huge," and she also says that victims are always blaming others as they are habitually doing that. Yes.
Yes.
So
And
much. Yeah. Go ahead.
Renat, you said it and Paula said it. It is a habit. And the beautiful thing, Paula mentioned it earlier, with habits is that whatever habits you have, you can break them.
Mhm.
So that's the beautiful part of
Yes,
it.
yes. Lisa says staying stuck and repeating the same story over again without any attempts to work towards a resolution or taking concrete action. Yeah, but yeah, I love that.
We've all either done that or know somebody who's done that. So.
Yeah, but you're right, but that doesn't work for me. I know, it's great. So, what do you think of having anxiety and depression as signs? Obviously, so we're not talking about clinical depression and anxiety. Again, we're not psychologists, so we're not giving that kind of advice. But as an experience, as it has been your experience, have you ever seen that happen? Someone being anxious or depressed as a result of living in a victimhood mentality?
May I touch on that one?
Absolutely, please do.
So my very first coach is a hypnotherapist. And one of the things that she said is that when you have anger, repressed anger, the hierarchy of the emotions is that when you push down anger, as it becomes anxiety, and if it's not dealt with, it becomes depression.
Mm-hmm.
So, and victims are usually very angry people.
Yes.
Right? Because everything is everyone else's fault. So they become very angry.
You're so right. That makes total sense, because if you're blaming everyone else for everything that's going wrong in your life, you have no control over that. So then, yes, of course you become angry. So that's just natural. Okay. Well, that's good. I can see how that could happen, right? And did we also talk about comparing? Are we in that comparison mode? I think one of you said that when you compare yourself to other people constantly, because you that's really important. Like, so-and-so is so much better than me, or their life is so much better than me, or they have it better than me.
Yeah, so it's
complaining, right? It's complaining no matter what. There is something wrong with someone.
Yes.
So I just wanted to mention, because I'm looking at the comments as well.
Yeah.
And we are going to touch on how to break those habits.
Yes,
so
I was going to mention that. Thank you very much. Okay, so also Mary says, and no one understands them.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, no one.
So if you're always the misunderstood person, then maybe there's something to look within.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, good. We've touched on a lot of signs on how to pinpoint that. So thank you very much. Yes. So I do see Mehnaz's comment of. Let me just bring it up here so people can see it. Wow, thank you for sharing. Love to know how we can break the habits, and we will get into that very shortly. So Austin says they have not learned the process of being strong on their own. They may have inherent weaknesses that have not been discovered.
Yes, that is an excellent comment, Austin. Thank you.
Okay, so what are we talking about? Inherent weaknesses.
Well, I think if we
comment on that?
dive into that, we may not have time to talk about how to overcome it, and I think that's very important.
Okay, so we'll move on. Now, before we go on to tools on how to overcome, I'd like to also bring up the definition of valiant, because that's the other half. As you know, if you've been watching us for a while, we always have two halves, right? And we'd like to consider both halves. So valiant, definition, please.
Possessing or showing courage or determination. And I think the reason why we chose this word, because, well, it started with a V like victim does, but it's an empowering word, right? So that's how we saw it, is that it's that self-confidence and that empowerment. And because victimhood is a relinquishing of responsibility, this is the taking control and taking charge of your own life.
Amazing. So we're looking at being valiant as almost a tool to overcome victimhood. So I love that. Thank you. And so let's look at some tools, shall we? On how to overcome victimhood mindset. And this is if you yourself are living in a victimhood mindset and you have just realized, oh my God, I think I'm a victim. So let me see what I can do to help myself. So this is what we're talking about right now. And this is according to our experiences, right? And we're not giving advice. I want to make sure that we are saying that over and over again so that the viewers, to use what you want and leave the rest. So, all right. So, I love this. Marina says, this is Tracy. Valiant is a great word, very powerful. Thank you very much. And Marina says, love it. Learned a new word, valiant. Yes, it's fantastic. Kudos to Colleen. Thank you. Since myself and Paula, English is our second language. So
I would have chosen, I remember mentioning it, I would have chosen victim versus victorious. Because
yes.
Overcome, be resilient, find something, find a way.
But this is good. This is good. People like it. We like it. It's perfect. Okay. All right, people. Let's see. What are some tools, please, on how to overcome victimhood? Basically, becoming more valiant. How do we do that? Maybe we'll start with Paula this time.
Okay. So, yes, absolutely, we can take our power back. Now, I'm speaking here from my own experience. As I mentioned earlier, I myself been under this state of mind called victim, okay? So my first step for myself was forgiveness. It was forgiveness of myself first and then of others. I found that staying in that poor me state feeling, the victimized by something that happened or by how someone treated me from my past, or even thinking of a circumstance in which things didn't turn out the way I wanted, or the way I hoped for, or the way I planned them, did nothing but make me feel even worse. So now I realized with help from others, this is important to note that when we are dealing with past trauma, abuse, etc., most often we need help from a professional. So I have realized that though that happened in my past, I was still giving it a power over me by not forgiving, by not being able to let go. Notice I'm saying forgetting. I'm not saying forgetting. I'm just saying forgiving. So personally, I only freed myself of this heavy weight, which I've carried upon my shoulder for so many years, only in the past 5 years. So for me, I used prayers first, and then I started reading this book, and I learned another tool. And the book is called At Zero. I don't know if you guys have ever read it or heard of it.
Can you say it again?
At Zero.
Act Zero, okay.
Yeah, exactly, like Zero, like zero. At Zero. It's written by Joe Vitale, and the tool was using Ho'oponopono as a simple way to shift the energy and move to the present living in the present, almost like the power of now. Eckhart Tolle explains there how important it is to stay in the power in the now. So I found this forgiveness business for me. It was a process. So it continues to be a process, actually. I must work at this all the time. You see, we live by our habits. And we must first get into this new habit of loving ourselves. I had a hard time with that, a very hard time with that. Now, many may say that this is too selfish. Honestly, it's not selfish, it's actually sensible. The pattern of thinking negatively about yourself and others is nothing but a habit. And you and I and everyone else can change this habit, but we have to want to, and we have to want to work at it. Mm-hmm. Let me give you an example. Would you agree that in order to start a conflict, two are necessary?
Yes.
Even when the challenge is from an inner dialogue, right, with yourself, doubting and complaining. You see, your problem is your problem because no matter how you look at it, you have a part in it, even if you are not the obvious cause. So what I'm trying to say is that you must take 100% responsibility for your own part in any circumstance and conflict. Now, this doesn't mean blaming yourself. It's quite the opposite. If you feel regretted, for example, in any situation from your past, you already have beaten yourself up for so long. Now, let go of that guilt, learn from that situation whatever you can, give thanks for that lesson, so that you can make space for peace, with yourself and others. Get past it. What comes to mind right now, I don't know if you heard about Stephen Covey.
Yes.
He said it well, actually. If I remember, just give me a second, because sometimes memory and English mention, So it's something like this, and again, it's a quoted, and it's whatever I'm remembering. I'm not sure if it goes like that. I think it's taking 100% responsibility means understanding that I dispose of the free decision to choose my reactions. Ooh. So, yeah, that's deep. Now, honestly, aren't we all seeking understanding or to be understood?
Yes.
So let's look at it. Exactly. So let's say, what if we take a step back, or maybe a step backwards, the way Ho'oponopono looks at it, and look at problem-solving process and appreciate nothing and no one. Imagine doing that. Appreciate nothing and no one. Then there is no judgment. There is no conflict. Does that make sense?
This concept is totally new to me. I have to admit, it's not new to Mernaz though, because she knows about it and she practices all the time.
So let me give you another. Okay. So let's think about this.
Okay.
What drives our actions? It's really the subconscious mind, which is an acquired, learned, programmed. It's acquired and it's learned by others, by observing others and how others treat us. Parents, teachers, partners, life partners, let's say, who try to control us or try to tell you how bad you are. Now, the most amazing thing is that the only thing that makes a difference is what you believe. Now, how can you believe anything good about yourself if you grow up in an environment that doesn't support a healthy self-image and rips you off of any chance of building your self-esteem? Or let's say if you end up being the victim in the abuser arms, right? However, you do have a way out. Perhaps not as a kid when you are dependent on others, but as an adult. Let me tell you just the story now so you can understand where I'm coming from. It's a fun story and it's quick, and I tell you I will shut up after, okay?
No, don't say that. Okay, tell us.
There are two monks wandering around, coming across the river. Now, sitting there was a young woman who said, I cannot swim. So please, sages, if you're thinking of crossing the river, would you please gratefully carry me with you, carry me over? So one of them said at once, come on, climb on my shoulders. And together, all three crossed the river. On the other side of the river, the woman bade them goodbyes and, they kept on going. The monks kept on traveling on. They didn't talk for a while, but one of them seemed troubled by something. You look annoyed, said the one who carried the woman. And the other one snapped. Oh, you fool. How could you have any contact with a woman? We are monks and live with drown from the world. To which the other replied, it is true, I have carried that woman across the river, but it seems to me that you are still carrying her. I think it's funny. I remember reading it and memorizing it because I thought it's an incredible story. I find it's exactly what we're talking about. You see, forgiveness helps us let go of all the past problems. I want to give a story. I gave my word that I'll let you guys talk. One thing that I haven't gotten to, what do you do? How do you do this?
Can we read some comments before though, Paula? Okay. All right. So we have a comment from Farida that says taking responsibility as a tool. For sure, we talked about that. So this is Mernaz. It's been proven that forgiveness helps you walk taller and more confident. So true. We always hold on to the old and the past. I love practicing the Ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono. Yeah. I say teach us Ho'oponopono, please, Paula.
Okay.
Anna says, thank you so much, Act 0. And she's just added that to her list of must-read books. James McNeil, I love the butterfly effect. Thank you, beautiful souls. And Mary says, how do you forgive?
Okay, here it is. Now
we can certainly have strategies for forgiveness as well.
Okay, so here it is quickly, and I'll let Colleen and you guys both can share. So I will encourage you to make a list of any situation, any person, animal, plant, whatever it is that you want to live in harmony with, but you feel like you can't, right? So in your mind, there are 4 phrases the Ho'oponopono uses. So let me give you an example. Suppose I got mad with my kids and I'm upset and I'm angry and, let's say I'm taking Carla, for example. I will say the following. I say, Carla, I love you. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Now I'm saying all this in my mind. And at first I'm angry. I'm mad, right? Like I'm maybe even sad. And I'm like, I can't even say it. Like, trust the process. I encourage you to just keep on saying it. Honestly, within seconds, within maybe a minute or 2 max, the moment you start saying those words, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, there is a shift that happens. I don't even know how to explain it. And what's the most profound thing that happens is the shift happens within you, but it also happens within the other person.
Without you saying anything.
No, you stay in your mind.
Yes.
You stay in your mind, you open your heart up and you just honestly believe that, okay, I want to, send love. I want to make peace. Even though you're angry and you can't. Like, it's sometimes, I remember in the beginning, 5 years ago when I started this, I was like, I can't say that. How can I say I love you when I feel like, I just, it just didn't. It was so hard. So I keep on saying, I love you. I love you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And keep on saying it. Over time, I felt like light. And I did feel like I love that person. And I'm so sorry for whatever has happened. Because I've learned to be responsible or take that step back and say, wait a minute. It does take 2 to tango, doesn't it?
Yes.
It sure does.
Thank you. So we have, that was great. Thank you, Paula. Forgiveness doesn't let the other person out of prison. It lets you out of the prison of bitterness.
Yeah.
Blessings.
That is so good. And that touches on the point that you made, Paula, about forgiveness. Is it's not about the other person. It's not about saying, hey, it's okay what you did to me. You're not condoning what they did.
No.
You're leaving it in the past. And that is the first, when you're talking about getting outside of that victimhood state, is that you have to start looking forward. So you focus on what you can do, what part you've had in that situation, right? Like you said, it takes two to tango. So what part did you have? Did you hold on to it? Is that still, like, are you still letting it affect you? That's your part. Like, there are some things, like you mentioned, like some abuse, or, you know, was somebody was hurting you. Yes, you had no control over that, but you have control over how you keep holding on to it.
Or how you react to it.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I didn't catch that, Paula. How you react to it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. So how you can control your response or your ongoing response. That is something you have 100% control. And that's a key thing with forgiveness is people say, well, how do you forgive a child abuser? Forgive does not equate to condoning, right? You're not saying it's okay what they did. The forgiveness is that you're releasing it.
Yeah.
You're not holding on to that anymore because it doesn't serve you. No. It's only hurting you, right? Like when you're a victim, you're only hurting yourself. And James, you know, it's the prison, or, you know, there's also the saying that anger, resentment, that's like drinking poison, hoping that the other person will die. Yeah. It only hurts you.
Yeah, I like that quote, by the way.
Yeah, I like that one too, because it really.
Anger is like a poison you drink, hoping that the other person will die.
Yeah,
that's really good. I really like that, and I know a lot of people who would say that. Well, how, you know, of course I'm angry. Of course I'm not going to forgive that person who hurt me like that, or, you know, who beat me up, or who raped me, or who walked out on me. I'm not going to forgive God for taking my child away. I'm not, you know, there's so many reasons that people can be angry and stay angry and stay in that victimhood mentality. I think the question is, how's that working out for you? And that is, I mean, it's as harsh as that seems. Like, are you liking where you are? Because if you're not, then it's time to change that mindset. It's time to try something else. Yeah. And so the step number one is awareness. And I want to thank you, ladies, for bringing so much awareness to this topic and the signs that you gave for people to look for. And so I want to move with, because I don't want us to run out of time. We still have one particular topic that we haven't addressed, and that's how to help someone else who is probably living in that state. Because the last thing you want is going to someone and say, "Hey, get out of the freaking victimhood mentality." I know that's not going to go over well. So how do we do that? How do we do that? But before we go there, can I look at one more question, because that's really important? Does forgiveness work if I don't want to have a relationship with that person who hurt me?
Yes, absolutely.
Totally. That's especially with Ho'oponopono. As I said, it's all in your mind and your heart.
And that you're taking your power back. You're making a choice. Yeah. So you are moving forward. And if moving forward is best without them, then that's your choice. So absolutely, I mean, there's some people that I've had to forgive that I live, like, no, I don't live with, because I live alone, but I still have in my life. And you mentioned it earlier, Paula. I find that if I remind myself that how much I love them, your energy is huge, right? And if you exude a loving, compassionate, forgiving energy, it changes the dynamic of the relationship entirely. You feel better, they feel better, and then your interactions can change. I've seen it. I've experienced it. It's been, you know, it's part of my journey. So, and it's funny that James is watching, because he's the one that got me to that spot when I had a coaching session with him last year. And he's like, like what you just said. How's that working for you?
Did he like use the words? How's that working out for you? Okay, and if anyone's watching this and you're wondering how to get help, there's a lot of people who are actually right here on this platform right now, part of this, who are coaches who coach people all the time on different subjects. So reach out and find out the right coach for yourself. I always say there's a coach for everything, right?
Yeah.
And one of the best things I ever did was started when I started working with different coaches and changed my life. So thank you. Okay, shall we
Sorry, you asked me a question and I
yeah, no problem. So tackling the last question of the night is, how do we help our loved one, our friend, who constantly lives in the victimhood
so
mentality?
One of the things that I had somebody reach out to me, and they weren't reaching out for help. They were doing that complaining thing, right? Oh, my life sucks. Everything's horrible. All those types of things. And my initial reaction, and I hate to say this, but I'm human. My initial reaction was, "Oh, suck it up, Buttercup." It's like,
oh, you're not supposed to say that.
you're not supposed to say that. It's not a compassionate response. So, and then I heard myself think those words, and I went, "Whoa, that's not helpful. That doesn't help." So I think it's important to get where they are, understand what they're going through and where they are in that moment, and then you can empathize with them, and then you can help them come out of it if they want to. If they don't want to, you can't. But you can challenge them, and then they get to make that choice again today. Right? They get to decide, no, I don't want help, or yes, I want to move forward. Because it's all about leaving the past behind and starting from today. And today can be every day, right? Like you can start from today and then have something, take a few steps back in a week, and then you just start from a new today, right? So there's always an opportunity to start again.
Okay, thank you. Paula?
I think there, Colleen, I do agree with you. I will add the fact that we have to be very careful, because let's remember they are very needy of the attention, and they want to put all of the responsibilities on other people but themselves. So we do have to come from a very good place of love in our hearts and a lot of compassion. But we also must, and I emphasize this must, keep up with our own boundaries and responsibilities, and remind them of theirs kindly, but nonetheless remind them that that's their responsibilities, right? Without accepting their accusations and blame, because they do become, like you said earlier, Colleen, they could get quite angry if they don't get things the way they want, right?
Yeah.
Or they get upset, or they will use this victimized feeling, if you may, such to trap us in, to make us feel so sorry that we end up taking not only our own responsibility and cross over our own boundaries, we'll take upon theirs. So yeah, absolutely loving, compassionate towards them, be understanding, because they come from a hurt, they come from pain, but stay firm with responsibilities and boundaries.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's important not to get into that deep dark well with them. You want to help them out of it. You don't want to join them.
You don't want to enable them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I want to put this in a sort of a practical example. Okay, let's say you have someone who is constantly complaining about life in general. And so they call you, and again they go into that mode of complaining about this and that and everything. So what's a sentence per se that you would say? Because I just want to make sure that we leave everybody with something specific. So what would you say? How would you phrase your, this is my boundary, I love you, but this is my boundary and I'm not getting into that. How's that working out for you?
Yeah. So I would get them to see where they are to now, like what, and kind of find out, so what have you done so far that has to get yourself out of that or away from that? And then the how's that working for you? And then you ask them, so what could you do differently? Mm-hmm. Right? So what could you do differently? Because they are the only ones who have the power to see it and move forward.
And I like that how you try to give the power back to that person.
Yeah, because it's not mine, it's theirs, right?
Yes, yes. So if they come up with a solution, then they've had their power back, and that really helps. And
you can even say, so say they come up with a solution, well, I can start doing that. Well, then you say to them, okay, well, how do you think that you can do that in the next, like tomorrow or today? And then follow up with them and say, so how did it go? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? And just keep them accountable, because they're the ones who said that that's what they could do, and that they wanted to do that, and keep the power in their hands, because they're the only ones that can actually get themselves out of it.
Okay. Thank you. And remembering that acknowledging could be something like, I hear you, I can see, I can see how frustrated you are, or I can see how angry you are.
Yeah. Or simply saying that I will feel the same. Now the question is, do you like, for example, the children come home sometimes and they say that my friend did this, for example. I say, well, what friend will do that in the first place? So if it's a friend, right, and it did something you don't like, you go and say.
Yeah.
And if they continue, then you simply have to say, okay, when you treat me the way I'm expected to be treated, or respectfully, then I come back and I'm your friend. Until then, I'm going to go and play there on my own. So that's how you teach them boundaries. That's how you teach them respect. That's how you teach them how to get their power back. Because they say, what do you mean? Well, and it's simply just saying, like, do you feel that he's or she is your friend if he talks to you that way? Mm-hmm. Or is there a friendly way of being with someone, right? Like if somebody pushes you, or somebody, comments or bullies you, or, things like that. It's exactly what Colleen says. Honestly, ask the question, do you like it? What would you do different? So if you don't like it, what are the steps that you could take to not be in that situation? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To remove yourself from it, or make it clear of what your expectations are, what your I guess acceptance is in terms of how you
and again, you're making a choice. I'm choosing to continue to have a relationship with this person, or I'm choosing to not.
Yes.
Exactly.
Choose. Do you want to be friends? Yes. Do you like how you're feeling? No. Okay, so what are you going to do to change that?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Take your power, own it, and then make that choice. Like I've been with people who have made me feel bad, or I don't like them being around them because they're not nice, or and then I've said, okay, well, I've decided to, I work with them. I don't have a choice. I have to do it. So then I decide how much what they're doing affects me, what my response is going to be. And I think you mentioned it earlier, Paula. You were talking about how people are, they'll say mean things to you, and it only becomes true if you believe it. Absolutely. And I've heard that so many times, where people will be talking about, well, they said this about me and this about me, and it was so, it's not true. And the reality is that, are you more concerned with being right, or, you know what I mean? Like, okay, it's not true, but it also doesn't matter because it's not true. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So you choose how you respond to it. And so building your self-confidence is another way to do this. And it's funny because we're talking about all this, and I mentioned accountability earlier, and the accountability thing is, having that trusted friend, but sometimes we're not comfortable talking about some of our intimate details of our lives with a trusted friend. And that's where coaches come in, because, coaches, counselors, and those types of things, because you're able to be 100% completely open and honest, and they're not going to fall for your baloney. They're not going to go. They're not, your best friend could crawl into that deep, dark place with you and egg you on without meaning to, right? Like when you're sitting there complaining about work and, oh yeah, they're all idiots and, they don't know what they're doing. If somebody comes in and gets into that mess with you, they're not helping you.
Mm-hmm.
So find an accountability buddy who will hold you accountable. And that's the key.
Thank you.
And stay strong in positive thinking. And
Yes.
James Allen said something that actually is so true. Like, think about it. You are, okay, goes again, me and English, okay? Not very good friends. So it says something like, you are today where your thoughts have brought you, and you will be tomorrow where your thoughts bring you.
Yeah.
So stay positive.
Yes.
Stay positive. And, honestly, I was telling you guys earlier, having to prepare myself mentally for this topic, I've experienced these emotions and feelings of victimhood. I'm like, oh my goodness, I thought I dealt with these things. And then I realized that no, subconsciously it's coming back because I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking, what am I going to talk about? Like, how I'm going to say it? How, like, whatever. So it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we're always having to challenge our own thoughts and becoming aware.
Yes, that is a perfect statement, Dela.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I want to be mindful of the time, ladies. It is past our 1 hour, and I want to be respectful to people's time as well. So thank you so much for everything you gave us. How can people get in touch with you, Colleen?
Well, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, so you can private message me. Obviously, I've been tagged in this, so you can reach me directly through there. I'm also at colleen.woodhead@gmail.com. And if you join the Butterfly Effect Facebook group, my contact information is all there available for you.
Do it. Awesome. Paula?
Well, for me, for now, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram as well. I've yet to update myself on the group. As I told you guys earlier, I'm anti or tech challenge, let's say that. Pretty. Okay. And heal with Paula@gmail.com. It's one way to reach me right away. And yeah. And you, Dela?
So for me, it'll be on Facebook and it'll be on Instagram. You can reach me on Dela's Voice, but you can also email me at info@delasvoice.com. If anything we can help you with, please reach out. Don't hesitate. We are here to serve you. So please let us know. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And whoever was here who watched this show, please share this talk, because there's lots of people who can benefit. You just never know who this might just reach that needs to hear something. And so also please give us a thumbs up, just so we can get some love, because we love that too. And please join us on our next Butterfly Effect, which is the 3rd Thursday of October. We'll put out all the post coming up. It'll be a fantastic topic. Yes, Colleen.
There, in the Butterfly Effect group, there is a post in there that's asking what you would like us to discuss. So we haven't decided what the topic is. We've got a list of things that we want to talk about, but we also want to hear from you what you want to hear and what information you're looking for. So I did look up the date this time. It's October 15th.
Thank you so much. That's the 3rd Thursday of October. Is October?
Yeah, because the first it falls on a Wednesday or Thursday. So
okay, perfect. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Tracy says, "Sorry, I missed this." Well, you can watch it still, no problem. We love it that you came on. Thank you, Paul. Did you want to add something?
I wanted to just say thank you for all who watched, and thank you also for participating and commenting. We appreciate that. And we are looking forward to seeing you guys in a month. And this is the Butterfly Effect, bringing you love,
hope,
and compassion.
Till next time. Bye. Just, we're leaving soon. Just again, bye.